Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Minot Sports Podcast, the show where we talk about sports all around the Magic City. I'm your host, Cole Clementich, back for a brand new show for you guys. It's going to be a good one today. We have a great one on hand, and we got a lot on the agenda. Before we get started, just want to remind you guys to follow on social media. We got lots of great coverage coming up here later tonight. But in this one, we're going to be talking some baseball as Minot just welcomed the brand new Minot Hot Tots of the Northwoods League. And there's a lot of buzz, a lot of hype around them. And yeah, it is going to be one heck of a summer this season for baseball in the Magic City. And that leads us to our subject of the show. He is currently a recruiting coordinator at Eastern Florida State College and is now the inaugural head coach of the Minot Hot Tots, also having experience as the Bismarck Bull Moose head coach of the Northwoods League. Joining us now is Mitchell Gallagher. Coach, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me on, Cole.
Yeah, and so just kind of first off, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background. You're an Xavier alumni as well, but yeah, currently a recruiting coordinator at Eastern Florida State College. And of course, you were also a player and also having head coaching experience. Just kind of introduce us to yourself and what are some things that the fans might want to know more about you.
Gotcha. So for me, I guess to start, I have kind of bounced around a lot just throughout my life. I moved to Florida from Connecticut when I was about to start high school. From there, spent my 4 years in Bradenton, Florida. Went out to play college baseball at Pepperdine for 2 years, and then transferred to Palomar Junior College in San Diego before finishing up at Xavier my last 2 years. Immediately after that, I got right into coaching. Went back to my junior college, Palomar, to kind of feel it out, see if it was the right fit for me. I knew I always wanted to stay around baseball, and then going out there, kind of getting in the mix, getting to work with guys, I really did find my true passion in development and just working with players. So then I went to Houston Baptist University to get my master's and be a student manager with the team there, and then after that, got my first opportunity as the recruiting coordinator at Eastern Florida.
No, it seems like sticking with baseball, and you've built up quite the resume and a lot of experience going in and around the country, either coaching or playing. So, yeah, things are just getting started, it seems like, for you. So, yeah, talk about, your current role at Eastern Florida State College. We'll get to some Hot Tots talk here in a little bit, but yeah, your current role at Eastern Florida State College. What have you been able to kind of learn so far there, and how much have you taken some of what you've accrued from that to your current role now?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I've learned at Eastern Florida, especially being in that recruiting coordinator position, where now I have to really dive into what I want and what I'm looking for in a baseball player, not just necessarily evaluating somebody's tools. I think that's the most overlooked part of our job. Is it's very easy to see, okay, this kid's fast, he throws hard, he can hit the ball over the fence at will, but at the end of the day, there's so much more that goes into the baseball, along with the mental side, the makeup, the character of the kid, how they work, and that kind of stuff. So that's been probably the biggest learning process for me, is how to identify that in the recruiting process. And then being at the junior college level, we work with a lot of freshmen and sophomores, a lot of guys that haven't had that college experience. So for us, it's a lot about communicating and making sure that they understand that the struggles that, the success they had in high school isn't necessarily going to translate right away, and kind of working them through the mental hurdles of, oh man, what am I going to do now that I'm not hitting 400 and getting 2 hits every day and being on base all the time? You're going to go over 10. You're going to strike out a few times. And how do we overcome that and the mental hurdles? And I know we're going to talk about the Hot Tots later, but that's kind of the transition. it's helped me a lot with this early team because we do have a lot of young guys, and just trying to get them to be a little bit more positive, kind of trust the process and understand that, you're not going to have immediate success, but it's about how we're playing at the end of the season and how we build from there. So it's been fun.
Absolutely. I was once said Rome wasn't built in a day, and certainly it does take some time, to build some things up. And like you said, well put there. And so about your role currently with Eastern Florida State, just what are some things about it that is most intriguing? Maybe what are some things that you kind of like to do to try and maybe entice some incoming freshmen college students, or maybe those in the transfer portal? What are some things that you look for, and what do you try to do to encourage or kind of promote Eastern Florida when you're looking for the recruiting side of things?
So for me, Eastern Florida, it's a very special place that hasn't quite been put on the map yet. It's we're 5 minutes from the beach. It's a small beach town community, really nice area. The facilities are amazing, and it's kind of what we've been trying to do in our first 2 years, me and Coach Brown, is basically put Eastern Florida on the map, get the word out there, who we are, what we're about, and trying to basically just expand our reach beyond just our immediate community to try to branch out. Now we're bringing in guys out of state, out of the country. So trying to basically just getting the word out about Eastern Florida. With that, the development side is something that we really harp on and really try to focus on, and just making it a place that kids know that when you come here, you're going to get better. Whether it's 1 year here with us or 2 years, you're going to get better, you're going to move on, and you're going to go somewhere that is going to be a really good fit for you.
What about your playing days have you taken away into this current role with Eastern Florida State as a recruiting coordinator?
I think for my playing days, it's, I try to put it all in perspective. As a player, you feel like you have everything figured out, and you feel like sometimes you may not feel like you need all that guidance, but looking back on it in my career, there's so much I didn't know when I played that I wish in just 1 year of coaching, it was like, wow, I can't believe I overlooked all these, just the little details that really do make a big difference. And just trying to relay that to the younger guys and instill that in them early in their career that, hey, there's always something we can be working on. There's something that we can get better at. And then just conducting yourself properly. I try to relate it back to every single kid we recruit, every single kid that comes into this league wants to go on and play pro ball. They have those higher aspirations, but it doesn't just happen. And it's trying to instill that work ethic in them and getting them into a routine of, it's not just show up to the ballpark, 15 minutes before we start, stretch, throw, hit some BP, and go play. There's a routine. You got to take care of your body. You got to eat right. You have to get in early work, extra work, after hour stuff. You got to focus on your defensive side. You've got to do strength and conditioning. You've got to speed train, everything, because if you're not, somebody else is out there doing it. So it's really just getting that message across that there's somebody out there that's trying to outwork you, and we're trying to outwork them now.
That, and also in the classroom, the academics are also a key factor as well. So going from that on, going back to your playing days here, what have been some career highlights for you, wherever it was? Just kind of talk maybe some milestones, and what are some things that have really helped you along in the journey? That what are some things that you can recall from your playing days in the past?
Yeah, when I talk about my playing career, the thing that always comes to mind for me first is the championships. When I played 5 seasons of college baseball. I redshirted one of them. I won 4 conference championships. We went to 4 regional finals. I played in a super regional. We were 3 outs away from Omaha. Playing at that high level, and with all that being said, now I've been on some teams that haven't had that success, and seeing the differences between those two. The big thing I try to get guys to realize is if you're not meshing as a team, you're not gelling as a team, it's just not going to happen. That I'd say probably one of the lesser seasons I had in college was probably our most talented team, but we just didn't mesh. We weren't pulling on the same rope. the teams that really bonded and really got close to each other, those are the teams that really they start to roll. Obviously, you got to have some talent, you got to make some pitches and make some big plays. But for whatever reason it is, and it's just it's the baseball world. But when you have a good team, a good group of guys meshing and gelling together, you can do some pretty special things, especially once that postseason time rolls around.
Before we start talking some hot tots here, what are some words of wisdom that you have for young players trying to get into college, and even if they're kind of on the come up a little bit, but they're still kind of struggling to maybe look for some offers or get looks or calls from other coaches? What are some things that you can provide for players, that kind of a word of encouragement for them?
Yeah, so everybody's situation is going to be unique. Whether if right now you're getting calls and maybe it's not the offers you want, I would say hear everybody out. The most important thing is to find the spot that's going to work for you. You don't want to go somewhere and sit for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You look at all the guys in the transfer portal. I mean, the first day it opened, there were probably 800 baseball players that jumped in there. Those were guys that they went somewhere that wasn't the right fit. They made, whether they didn't do the homework or they weren't doing, they didn't do the proper research to make sure it was a good fit. And sometimes kids just don't understand what they really want to look for. So I'd say understand what you need in the college process, what you want in a baseball program or any sport, what you want in the program, the structure, that kind of stuff, but also the academic side. That's going to be huge. Is the school the right fit for you? Do you like the area? Do you like the location? Is it just about sports, or is there going to be something in the town, in the area, that is going to keep your mind off your athletics? Because like I said, you're going to struggle at some point. So if you're trapped and you have no outlet to get your mind off of it, you can kind of start spinning in some circles. So definitely make sure you find the right fit. If you're still early in the process and you're not really talking to anybody yet, keep working. Size is huge, and it's probably something that I underestimated as I was playing, but you got to get in the gym. You have to eat right, make sure you're eating healthy so that you can put on good, strong weight, because physicality is probably, when I recruit, it's just you're naturally going to notice the kid that's 6'4", 225, kid that's filled out a little bit more. It's just natural, so it draws more eyes to you when you fill out a uniform, you look good in it. It's just going to naturally draw our eyes to you, and then from there it's then we start evaluating ability and makeup and work ethic. But yeah, definitely hit the gym. So when you're ready, you step in as an 18-year-old on campus, you can go compete with some 23, 24-year-olds.
No, it is a big decision to make, because it's literally the next chapter in your life. And one of the summer programs going on, like we mentioned earlier, the Minot Hot Tots, new to the Minot community. Coach, just talk about how did this opportunity come to be? Kind of walk us through the scene of, the developing of this role as head coach for, a new team in kind of a new city for them, and, having summer baseball in the past, and, to be able to continue the summer tradition of going out to the ballpark, having fun, and not only a great experience for the fans, but, it's a great opportunity for the players. So just kind of tell us a little bit about, what this position, what was kind of going through your head as this was developing for you.
Gotcha. So I guess this opportunity first came around, or the journey began when I first played for Bismarck in their inaugural season. That's when I started developing the relationships with the Lark staff that eventually, began the Minot team. After playing and having some success there, and more so just really enjoying my experience in the league, with the team, in the town, really everything about it. So then once I got into coaching, I started looking for ways to get back into this league. It started with, I got to coach in Kokomo with one of my coaches at Palomar College. He brought me over. And then when I saw a job opening in Bismarck, I immediately jumped on it. And fortunately enough, I was hired. That was the COVID summer where they did the Bismarck pod and had 3 teams. So I was able to, instead of being the assistant coach that summer, they moved me over to one of the new teams to be the head coach there. And then from after that, it was because I had been hired by the Larks head coach, we wanted to do one more summer where it was, hey, let's do what we had planned before COVID had hit. Let's get the guys we want in, bring some guys back, and let's go have a good summer. And then got the job at Eastern Florida, so I wasn't able to come back to the league last year because I figured I was going to be busy on the recruiting trail and everything. But then when I saw the opportunity in the Northwoods League, as far as being able to see some kids that were going to be in the portal playing, maybe get extra eyes on guys, and then being able to do a little bit more up here than I thought. For me, I had to come back. I love being up here. It's baseball every day. Great groups of guys that, on the coaching side, I've built relationships with these guys across the league. But then on the player side, getting guys in that, whether they had really good seasons and they're just looking to build and get a high level of exposure at a high level, or it's guys that maybe they didn't play so much and they need to play 70 games in a season and get a lot of at-bats. When they go back into their spring season, they're ready to go and ball out and have some success there.
Absolutely. And the Northwoods League, it is one of the premier baseball destinations for the summer. I mean, just look at it. It's got a long history. This is its 30th season now, and they have players like Chris Sale that was drafted, and I'm trying to think of the other ones. But
Max Scherzer's on there.
Max Scherzer even.
Curtis Granderson.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the list goes on. For me, the Northwoods League, it's the ultimate prep league for pro baseball. Everybody likes to talk about the Cape Cod League, and the Cape Cod is what it is. It's a great league with high caliber players, but nothing's going to prep you for the next step like the Northwoods League. You're going to play baseball every single day. You're going to go on long road trips. It is exactly like minor league baseball. You're going to have to grind it out a little bit. You're going to have to figure out your routine, and you're going to figure out how to manage being on a bus for 6 hours and then getting off and going playing 9 innings and then getting back to your hotel late, getting some sleep, and going back and do it again. And it's just learning how to figure out that routine at such a young age is just going to prep you for hopefully when they get drafted and they go through it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And rumor has it you actually had a couple players in the past that got some MLB looks or was even drafted. Is that true? Tell us a little bit about that. And what was it like working with kind of those type of players that maybe kind of get a little bit more attention, but also, kind of balancing, the team aspect as well?
I think the thing that usually separates those types of players is they just have a more mature approach to their day-to-day business. A lot of kids will say they want to go play pro ball and go play at the next level, but not a lot of kids are willing to put in the work that it definitely does take, and it requires a lot of sacrifice. You might not be able to go out with your friends every time they want to go to a concert or go out and do whatever. It's going to take a level of maturity to say, I think I need to get some sleep. I want to go get a workout in the morning, make sure I eat right, and take care of my body so I can go bounce back tomorrow. And I think that's really the difference. It's not, I don't have to pay extra attention to them, or I don't see, a different side of them where it motivates me to work with them more. I want to work with everybody that we have. But I think a lot of times that maturity, they take care of themselves, and if they need to work on something, they'll approach you and say, "Hey, coach, can you help me out with this? Can we, I'm pulling off the baseball. Do you have any drills we can work on?" And they just have a very detail-oriented approach to what they're trying to do every day. And then part of my job is the guys that don't have that mindset is showing them the way, giving them a little bit of a lead. And it's always great when you have those guys around because you can point to them and say, look at how he's going about his business. He's here early, getting his tee work in. Nobody's around. Then he's getting some front toss. He's gotten 100 swings in before the next guy shows up to the ballpark. That's the kind of mindset that kids need to have if they do want to make it onto the next level.
Yeah, it's that buy-in that'll certainly pay off in the end. And going back to your Bismarck days, I know I often forget that the Hot Tots aren't possible without the Bismarck ownership group. They were the ones that headed up this operation. And so, yeah, like you mentioned, those connections are certainly based off of that. And, to be able to have them recognizing that there's now an opportunity for a new team in town. Talk about, from your vantage point, the hype and the excitement around a new team, especially for a league that has such a resume to come in here into Minot, how awesome is it to be a part of it? And, just walk us through, the steps of being a coach, for a first year team like the Hot Tots.
Yeah, I think honestly, for me, the most important thing that people do need to realize is the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes in order to make something like this happen. We mentioned me being in the inaugural season in Bismarck. This is now the inaugural season for Minot, but I've also been in Kokomo for their inaugural season. And just understanding the amount of work everybody in the front office is doing behind the scenes to promote it, to market it, to make sure that people are aware of what we're doing here and how we're going to do it. It's very special what they do to go into a community and just basically just make it explode, get people to buy in. Sold out opening night is absolutely insane
It's amazing.
First time since '97. So that just goes to show the amount of work they put in the front office to market it, and also just the buy-in from the community has been awesome. So definitely looking forward to that aspect of it.
Yeah, and just getting started here as you guys are on to the 4th home game tonight as the Tots take on the Wilmer Stingers. We'll kind of talk more on that a little bit later, but yeah, from using your recruiting skills to the Minot Hot Tots, talk about some of the players and how you guys have been able to gel so far. Obviously, not the best start, but also, like I mentioned earlier, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's taken some time to build as a group and, kind of bond. Like you mentioned, bonding, it's a great key aspect for any team, really. But yeah, talk to us about the team a little bit and, what are some, maybe people out there who haven't been to a game yet, what can they kind of expect from this group and, what are some things that you would like to promote about them?
So what I will say about this group is it is a really, really good group of guys, really good kids. They're very focused on what they want to do. And I'll say, like you were talking about, the group has to gel. They have to come together. And I think that first road trip we had was huge for it. And that's when the guys really started to bond, because now they're around each other 24/7. First couple home games, guys are trickling in that opening weekend. We probably only had about 10 to 12 kids at the practice for the first 2 days, and then 10 more filtering in overnight. So we got 22 strangers in the dugout trying to go and win a baseball game. Obviously, every team in the league is dealing with those types of things, but a lot of teams return players every year to kind of help build with that chemistry. So that was our first goal as a team, was to become a team. And it's definitely starting to show, and now we're getting more and more guys trickling in to get a little bit more numbers. But I think last night during the rain delay was when I really first saw this team becoming a group of guys that we're going to have some fun this summer. Once that starts to happen, then we'll go play. But I mean, we had players doing karaoke in front of the crowd.
That was cool.
And it's all that's just part of the what this front office does. It's not just a baseball game, but it's just entertainment. It's fun throughout. So even if the rain comes down, lightning strikes, and we can't play baseball, there's going to be some entertainment going on. There's going to be food eating competitions, people dancing, laughing, and I think that's probably what makes the summer special. Is it's a little bit of a release for these guys, because it's not just school baseball and winning. We're going out there, we're trying to compete, we're trying to develop, but then there's also everything on the side that it gets your mind off of it and really puts everything into perspective.
Yeah, there are some things that are just, it makes it bigger than the game. Like, it's with the management team, like you had brought up earlier, it's a lot to go, try and make a great product. And, it's obviously entertaining the fans. It is something with, keeping the stadium in check and keeping the field nice and, perfect condition. And yeah, it's amazing. It's quite a lot to, put out a good product out there, a good entertaining product for the fans. But, for you and the players, just kind of talk really, the the goals you have in mind for this season, with it being the inaugural season, and, kind of how do you guys expand upon that bond and, just kind of really start to gel, the key word a lot here, gelling as a group. So, yeah, just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so as a coaching staff, we sat down, and our primary goal for this summer is to take the group of guys we have and send them back to their schools better versions of themselves when they came in. On the field, off the field, just make them better people, help them grow so that when they go into their school, they're ready to compete and help their team win some championships. With that being said, talked to the guys last night about there has been a bit of a trend across college baseball where guys maybe aren't necessarily as engaged as they used to be, or as excited, or pulling on the same rope, just working as a team, developing. We talked to a lot of schools across the country that they were struggling with that. So I think our secondary goal is we're going to learn how to compete. We're going to learn how to work as a team, play as a team, pull on the same rope. When our guy's making big pitches, we're going to get up for him. When our guy makes a big play, we're going to get up for him. And then when you start to feel that, and we talked about it earlier when I was on these other teams, and that's the difference in a championship team and a team that falls just shy. It's not the talent, it's not having those 100-mile-an-hour arms, it's we're the guys pulling on the same rope. Is everybody bought into the same goal, trying to accomplish the same mission? And with this group, like I said, it's a really good group of kids, and we're going to get there. We have the talent, we have the tools. And I think a lot of it is just they're young, and I'm trying to get them out of their shell a little bit, and have some fun, pull on the same rope, and everything like that.
Yeah, and we discussed earlier about the idea of routine. So, talk to us about the game day experience in Minot, and how does it compare with that versus maybe some of your other stops in the baseball world?
Yeah, so like we talked about it, when you come to a Minot Hot Tots game, it's not just about the baseball. It's going to be about all the in between inning stuff. Last night we had the Home Run for Life event, which for me that's something that we did in Bismarck, and I love having that kind of stuff too. It's just a full experience, and you really don't know what you're going to get or what you want until you get here. You're going to see some things that you weren't expecting, and that's probably going to be what makes you come back to games. For the Minot experience, I think it's not just for the baseball savant. It's for anybody that just wants something to do on a weekend night, that you go away, get away with the family, come out, eat some food, have some fun, sing along, dance, and watch really, really high-quality baseball. I think that's the important thing, too, is to realize that this is a very high level of baseball going on this field. And it will be all summer long. We talked about the pro players that have gone through this league, but there are so many guys that get drafted from this league every single year. And obviously once you get into the minor leagues, the work just gets harder. It's even harder to make it up to that final step in the majors. So even if they may not be a big name, a lot of these people are going to see some names called in the next couple of years for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Right there with you, man. And I'm sure a lot of this gets discussed a lot between you and the guys, with the scheduling, because there's obviously about 30-some home games and 30-some road games. How do you guys just balance that? We were discussing, of course, the idea of gelling, on like the team bus and trips and stuff. How do you guys balance that, while being able to play like every single day with minimal time off? Just kind of how do you balance that a little bit?
It is a grind for sure. But a good friend of mine, he always says it's not a grind if you love it. So I guess I kind of put my tongue in my own mouth there. But I love being out here, and it's just getting the guys to understand that like the sacrifice, like we talked about, the sacrifices you might have to make. It might mean, even though you're getting back to your host family's house at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, you haven't really had much free time. It might mean just letting the head hit the pillow and get some rest. Making sure that you get a good 8 hours in before the next day so you can wake up, maybe get a good lift in. hydrate, eat the right food, that kind of stuff. It's really just, it's being super detail oriented in how to take care of your body so that you can withstand the whole season. If you're the guy that, early on in the season, you're going out and you're staying up late, you're playing video games, whatever it may be, you can get through a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks of it. But once the summer starts to really get going and we get into those dog days in the middle, if you're not doing the right things and going about your business the right way, you'll start to see a little bit of injuries. You'll see fatigue. So it's just making sure that guys are staying on top of that side as well.
Yeah, important to take care of yourself in the process because it is a long season after all. And, with that long season, what are some things that you are looking forward to yourself and maybe, on behalf of the team?
Yeah, for me, it's just getting back into that. We're going to talk about chemistry a lot. It's really just getting back into that baseball world. For me, baseball players are always a little bit different. They're a little kooky. They're a little weird. They'll do, they got antics in the way that they go about their business. So it's always unique and fun when you get 30 guys from all across the country, some in Minot, some from Florida, California, and you bring them to this one local spot and you just say, hey, we're going to be with each other for the next 80 days. And then you just see how they come together as a team. And for me, that's what I look forward to every summer is how the group bonds, what type of guys you're going to have, who's going to be the big personalities, that kind of stuff, and, really bring the team together. But then the thing what these kids probably don't realize, especially the freshmen that are doing this is their first summer of college baseball, these guys are going to be your best friends. It's very, I was always very close with my guys at school, but the guys I met along the way in summer ball, and you're with them for such a short period of time, but you're just thrown right into it, and you're just forced to get to know these guys, and for me that's always the coolest experience. And they're guys I played summer ball with, and I've only seen for 3 months, but they're going to be at my wedding. I've been at their wedding. Some of them are going to be in my wedding. It's really hard to put into words just how much summer ball can make guys bond, but it's something that's known across the baseball world that it really is just a different experience, and I'm really excited for these guys to go through it.
It's all family oriented, and that is always, a good way to, look at it and approach life there. And, continuing on the game side of things here, you guys got the Wilmer Stingers tonight. We're recording this on June 5th, which is a Monday. Any teams you're looking forward to playing against? I know Bismarck's going to be coming up here pretty soon. Also some other pretty good games against good teams. What some things that you look forward to on the upcoming schedule here this summer?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely hit the ground running with by playing some of the tougher teams on this side, not just this side of the league, but really the league as a whole. St. Cloud is always a perennial powerhouse. Mankato, also a very good team. Wilmer always in the mix, and Duluth also a very good club. But yeah, like you said, the one we're looking forward to the most is Bismarck. I think that rivalry, the history between the two cities. It's a really cool storyline from an outsider's perspective, and then now being able to get thrown in the mix, I think that's going to be probably some of the more fun games this summer.
That game is going to be really popping on the calendar for a lot of people, and for you guys as well. It's going to be one heck of a battle coming up here pretty soon. But couple minutes left here. Let's talk a little bit about yourself, maybe kind of some of the interests that you have. So what are some things, about the game? What do you have for like routine, or do you have any superstitions, when you are playing or as a coach currently? What do you kind of like to do on a day-to-day basis?
So I have very different routines every day. So I guess it's not really a routine. It's kind of just letting the day dictate what I have to do. I think right now managing what I'm doing, still trying to recruit for my team back home and making sure guys are getting into school and have housing and everything like that. So my mornings usually just consist of, waking up, getting on the computer, blasting out emails to guys, talking to the people in administration, making sure guys are turning in their paperwork and that kind of stuff. So my mornings are usually just my busy work, and then I try to get to the field around 1 or 2, depending on the game day. depending on the start time for the game. Get to the field, kind of get my stuff settled, start drinking my coffee so I got some energy for the night. And then we'll do some early work with guys, typically just some ground balls to make sure get their feet moving. If there are guys that want to work a little bit extra in the cage, we'll make ourselves available for that. So it's probably about 2 to 3 hours of prep work at the field, just making sure guys are, like we talked about, understanding that routine of how to go about their business every day. It's not just show up 30 minutes before, stretch, throw, and go play baseball. There's a routine, there's a process, and everything like that. I guess early on in the summer, a lot of my routine has also just been thrown on the TV and getting the college baseball playoffs going on. Putting on squeeze play, watching 4 games at once, rooting for some guys that, a lot of guys that I actually coach in this league that are moved on, that I've seen play in this league. So it's always, for me, that's always really cool to just see guys I've coached or worked with or played against that now they're playing on the biggest stage in college baseball. So that's always really fun to see.
It's got to be a really cool scene, like you said, and kind of makes you feel giddy almost to see some past players now playing for, chances to win in the College World Series, like you said. And yeah, cool scenarios that always play out like that. And, I'm a Rockies fan, so life has been kind of tough for the team lately, but how much MLB do you follow? And, kind of give us your thoughts or opinions on the new pitch clock. I know the Northwoods League implemented that this season as well. Just kind of talk, what are some things that you follow a little bit of MLB and, talk pitch clock, talk maybe some favorite players. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I don't watch as much pro baseball as I used to. That's mostly because when I'm at Eastern Florida, we play at night. When we're here in the Northwoods, we play at night while all these games are going on. So I don't get to watch the games. It's more so just tracking, how my Red Sox are doing and making sure that they're on top of their stuff. On the pitch clock side, for me, I don't mind the rule because playing baseball on the West Coast, they always work up tempo. They get the ball, get on the mound, go right after a guy. If you need to step off and reset, you can. But for us, like the way I've always played the game was up tempo and fast paced. So the pitch clock hasn't impacted too much of what my teams typically do. I will say on the professional baseball side, I wish I have my own rules where I wish from like the 7th inning on, they would just shut it down. As the pitches start to become more important, you give the hitter a little bit more time, the pitcher a little bit more time to execute a pitch. I think in the postseason they should do away with it because nobody wants to watch people when the postseason hits. People want to watch postseason baseball. It's not okay. We need to get this game done in 2 hours 15 minutes. Let's get to the ballpark. Let's watch some baseball. That's part of it. Part of the beauty of the game is the intricate thoughts that go into every pitch that is made. It's not just throwing a fastball to a spot. It's not just throwing a slider to a spot. It's why should I throw a fastball here? This guy pulled off this fastball, so maybe I should go slider here. But there are so many little thoughts and details that go into it that, especially in the postseason on a big stage, I would vote to eliminate it. But with that being said, I do think the pitch clock plays a little bit more into my style of baseball.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard-hitting debate with the pitch clock right now. And, yeah, feel free, guys, to let us know your thoughts either in the comments below or on social media. Definitely open up for some discussion there. But continuing on a little bit with that, for non-players, like the Hot Tots, of course, have some interns on the team. Without them, the product wouldn't happen. And, there's a lot of focusing on like the merchandise, concessions, on-field entertainment with the fans. What is your message to those that are trying to get into the field that may have an opportunity in the future later with the Hot Tots and maybe even speak for the management team a little bit?
So I think what people should understand is the amount of work that these interns do put in day to day to make sure that the experience for the fans, the community, the players, and the coaches is top notch. It would be, it'd be very easy for them to just show up when the ballpark opens, dance around, do this, do that, and just see what happens basically. But for them, they're staying at the field late, they're cleaning up the ballpark, they're setting up for the next day. They get here early in the morning, they're prepping the field, making sure it looks nice, setting up all the events. They're running through the script of what they're going to do in between innings. It is a very detail-oriented process that I've seen kind of grow through my 5 summers here. But understand the amount. It's not just show up and have some fun. There is so much thought that is going on behind the scenes. So when you see our promo team dancing and trying to get you guys up, throw them a bone. Sing along, dance along, have some fun with them, because they've put a ton of work into what they're doing. But then on the other side, like if you're looking to get into it, understand it's not just showing up. There's a lot of pride that goes into it. You have to really love what you're doing to want to do this, because you're probably going to work more hours than your typical 40-hour work week. You're going to put in a little bit more time, a little bit more thought. But that's the trade-off doing something that you love. You get to be around the baseball field. You get to dance. You get to sing. You get to have some fun. So, yes, you do have to put in a little bit more work behind the scenes if that's something you're getting into. But for me, those long hours have always paid off. You get to see a very, very cool product here in Minot.
And you make lifelong connections in the process as well. And, yeah, it's amazing, building up a family like that. It's kind of a second family like that. We're almost out of time here, but anything else you'd like to mention, maybe for some of the fans out there that want to go to a game but haven't yet? Kind of give us your thoughts.
Yeah, just we've had 3 home games so far. We got the 4th one coming up tonight. The community response has been absolutely unbelievable. Even last night with the rain, actually 2 rain delays now at both of our home games, but fans have stuck it out through those rain delays. We've had some fun through them, and then eventually got to play baseball on the backside of it. For me, just keep it up. Keep bringing that energy, that fun, that excitement to the ballpark every day. Our guys are really loving it. They're talking about it, how cool it is. Even guys that play at some bigger schools where they do get a lot of fan turnout. It's a lot. It's still a unique experience for them because of how tight-knit this community is, and fans are gonna start learning their names and interacting with them and everything like that. So the guys are very, very excited for what's going on, and just keep up the community involvement, and we're gonna have a really, really good summer.
The first-year Hot Tots taking on the Wilmer Stingers tonight at 6:35 at Corbett Field. You can catch them on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Coach, if players and or fans want to connect with you, where can they find you at?
I'm on Twitter at Mitchell Gallagher 10, I think. To be honest, I'm not a huge social media guy, but let me.
Yeah, we'll let you look that up real quick. But
yeah, get the followers up. It's Mitchell Gallagher 10. I did get that right. Okay.
Okay, nice.
But if you look up Mitchell Gallagher on Twitter, you could probably find me.
There you go, folks. That is where you can find him. So, yeah. But other than that, Coach, thank you so much for being on the Minot Sports Podcast today and talking Hot Tots baseball as well as your journey a little bit. So, yeah, we definitely enjoyed it, and wish you the best of luck tonight and for the rest of the season.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
There you have it, folks. You just heard the Minot Hot Tots inaugural head coach, Mitchell Gallagher, also experiencing with the Bismarck team down still in the Northwoods League, and the current recruiting coordinator at Eastern Florida State College. And that is going to do it for this episode of the Minot Sports Podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, Minot Hot Tots playing just about every single day, but they have a bunch of home games coming up for the rest of the summer season of baseball. So, again, I'm your host, Cole Clementich, signing off on another show. Again, we thank Coach Gallagher for being on the show today, and that is going to do it. You guys have a good rest of your day or week, depending on when you are listening. And, of course, stay safe as always, and we will see you all later.